Being recorded.
Hold on. Okay, so we'll call to order the CCS Circulation Tech Group meeting for January 14th. That's it, right? We're ready to go. Yeah. All right, so approval of minutes from October 8th, 2021. Did anybody see anything that needed to change, or you read them all, I'm sure, right? Yeah, okay.
I make the first motion to approve.
Okay, very good. Maggie, that's from Round Lake, right?
Yes.
I'll second. Ann from Prospect Heights.
Okay. Okay, so the next thing is additions to the agenda. We don't really have anything unless anybody wanted me to add something on. Going once, twice.
I have a question
Sure.
about the new rail slips.
Okay.
On the bottom, it says return or hold. Has anyone else seen that?
Yes, we've got
Yes.
some. Mhm.
We're just ignoring it. It's
So
not
are we,
helpful
but
to us. Yeah.
Oh, Anastasia, you have the echo,
oh, sorry.
doesn't she? Or it sounds like it, I don't know.
No,
someone else.
everybody has the echo.
Oh, we all are?
I don't hear Karen echoing.
Yeah, I'm not echoing. Yeah. Yeah, I am. I can hear it there.
There. I got it too.
Oh, boy. Why
So-
do we think we're doing that, echoing?
Anastasia, are these on the rails, like the transit slips?
Mhm.
Okay, I'll reach out to Rails and just ask for some clarification, and then I'll email the group.
Anything else somebody wanted to bring up to add to the agenda? Well, if you think of something as we go through the meeting, just say so, and then we can always do some, speak about it at the end. Okay, so
You
officer,
did, you say?
what?
How about this? Anyone who is
I
not
think because
talking,
Rachel's on twice. I think that's why. She's got two things open. Rachel Kwan,
sorry.
and I think if you close out, you might stop the echo. I don't know. It's like match up the duplicates.
Lovely technology.
Maybe if you're not speaking, mute yourself.
I can get it, Rachel. I'm just gonna hit mute. And then if you want to jump in the conversation anytime, just anyone hit unmute on themselves if they want to jump in the convo.
Mieko, a couple
Yes.
of people in the chat was wondering if Anastasia could hold those slips up again. Some people didn't realize there were new slips.
Like closer to the camera
Yeah.
though, and then hold it steady so it focuses. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I know,
think-
it's my background. Thanks.
Oh.
I can try and send a picture maybe.
Mm.
It's down at the bottom, right? There are three things down at the bottom.
Well, let's pause and we'll add this to the new business so we can, maybe
Okay.
at that time we'll have an image.
Perfect. Good idea.
Okay.
So, all right. So we're good. So, all right. So then officer reports, the chair, I don't have anything to report. Vice chair. there
Nothing to
isn't one.
report.
Oh, yeah, there is one. And secretary.
No, I'm good.
All right. Okay, so let's move into the CCS staff reports then.
Cool.
And that would be you, Mieko.
Yeah, I'm going to start by sharing my screen here. You guys are will be subject to slideshow. Okay, so hopefully you'll be able to see the slides. So I'm just going to start with some random basic updates before kind of getting into the new business end of the CCS section. So the very first thing I just wanted to mention here, I want to give a shout out onto zip codes. So if you spot an incorrect zip code that needs to be fixed, kind of like the one in the example where there is a misspelling or extra data in one of the fields, just open a help desk ticket and CCS can clean it up from the back end table. I tried doing a sweep through catching issues like this one here that were very obvious. So hopefully you shouldn't run into any or too many, but if you do, definitely just let us know. It's a very easy cleanup. The next, I just wanted to give a reminder on some monthly patron maintenance and an update the patron purge criteria. So this reminder was sent out in the November 19th CCS newsletter. So it's a little old news by now. Just wanted to give a quick reminder that we have updated the criteria used in our monthly patron record purge. And a special shout out to Anne at Prospect Heights for helping us realize that we were missing a component to this. So our new criteria includes patron accounts created over 3 years ago that have a blank last activity date. So these will be like users who registered with the library, but then never ended up using their card. So previously, our criteria only looked for users that had a value in the last activity date field. So those users that never ended up doing anything with the library with their card were never purged and just kind of sat in our database. And then another quick reminder is just to check patron blocks when registering patrons. I do see a chat, so I'm just going to pause for a second to take a look at it. Oh, thanks, Anastasia. We'll take a look at that later on. So for blocks, when registering a user with an existing patron account, don't forget to check their blocks. And one newer block in particular that staff will encounter is the NCOA or NCOA block. So this block was added to users that were reviewed by the USPS National Change of Address Service and were reported back to us as having moved. So your staff may encounter this if, say, you're the patron's new home library and they're coming to you to verify their address for their new library card. So once their address is verified and they've gotten their new library card, staff can remove that NCOA block so the user can go ahead and use their card. Any questions about those so far? The next one, oops. The next one is the annual fee purge. So CCS has our annual fee purge coming up. Just like last year, we are targeting this one for March. So all fees posted more than 7 years ago. So for this year, that means anything prior to March 1st, 2015 will be waived in accordance with a 2018 governing board policy. So this will be done for all libraries. In addition, we also have the opportunity to then waive overdue fines for our newly fine-free libraries. So libraries who have not yet participated in an overdue bulk waive can opt in at no cost. So I've already reached out to the eligible libraries and I've heard back from everyone. So thank you for getting back to me on that. And all libraries will receive a summary report and an itemized fee report after the waive is complete. So you'll see exactly what was purged from the database here. And in between now and March, we'll post updates in CCS News and send communications out to both the CERC listserv and the library administration listserv. So keep watching out for information on that. And then my final, just kind of general news update thing is just on a lost item recovery option. So I did want to just quickly mention an automation that is available for libraries, which is right here, lost item recovery option. So what this does, when a lost item is returned to the library and checked in, staff will see a lost item recovery pop up. And this is where they tell Leap what to do with the related charges. So for the replacement fee and the processing fee, if those fees should be waived or kept on the patron's record. So there is an option where we can automate this based on how long the item has been lost for. So this automation applies to items checked out from your location. So with this automation, if the item has been in lost status, say 6 months or less, when the item is returned to the library and checked in, those fees will automatically be waived from the patron's record. And if returned after that time frame, the fees will automatically be left as is on the patron's record. So this automation is definitely optional. If you're interested in exploring this option, open a help desk ticket or email help@ccslib.org. So I know the next thing on our agenda is a demo, but before I start that, just wanted to pause for questions or comments.
I just had a question on that 6 months automation. If you choose that 6-month automation, but will it I guess my question is the other part past the 6 months, will it be still you still would be able to say, let me try to phrase this. Hold on, I'm bumbling it.
Take your time. Take your
Okay. I checked something in. It has now been 6 months. It comes off their record. It's gone, right? If it hits that 7 months mark, it will not take it off the record. It will still, we'd still have to automate, and staff would have to still continue to add the, waive, not waive, that kind of thing. Is that correct?
The automation would automatically keep the fees as is on the patron record. So then staff would have to go into the patron record and remove those fines manually.
So you wouldn't get the resolve lost item screen.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thanks, Karen.
Okay, thank you.
So Kim asks, can you choose how long? You can. The automation settings allow us to specify a number of months or a number of years. Any other questions on those?
In such trouble today with trying to get them. We would have to send in a ticket, right, to get that working.
Yes. Give us a ticket. We'll kind of just review the setting in detail, so you know what will happen, and then we can get that set up for you.
Okay.
And I've got one more chat. I'm just going to check it out real quick. If you have a sorter, where would the items sort? That's a good question. I may want to enlist.
I don't know if you can hear me. This is Kim.
Can.
Sorry, I'm on my phone. Yes, in the sorter, because we do it at 1 year for date of loss, because that's our policy. It checks it in as available, and because it auto waives it and it goes to its traditional location. If it's more than 1 year, it goes to the exception bin for a staff member to decide what to do. And that's with Biblioteca.
Thanks, Kim.
So I just want to clarify, if we enrolled in this, we would set our date, and if it's within, like Kim said, a year, say I pick a year, it would auto waive the bills and be set to available, right?
Correct.
If it's a year or more, then it would go to exceptions for staff to decide, right? In theory.
If going from what Kim said about the sorter, it sounds like with Biblioteca, you can, sounds to be what would happen. It would go to the exceptions list. If you're just checking in manually, like Karen Bolton said, it's not going to pop up an option. It will just keep the fines on the patron's record.
And can I just clarify?
If it's over your threshold.
If it's over the threshold.
Can I just clarify that you mentioned it was any item checked out at your library. So it could be items from the other consortium libraries.
Correct.
Unless the item has been deleted by that consortium library, right, Mieko? Because some libraries do different policies, is that right? If it's been billed lost?
If the item record has already been deleted, if you try checking it in, it's going to come up no record found.
Okay. Because I know everyone does different time periods for their deleted items.
Any other, those are good questions. Any others? Did Maggie, I saw Maggie do a little
Yeah,
hand
I
raise.
know. I'm like, wait, I gotta mute myself. One more question I had, and that was, okay, so when you get the book and check it in the fine stand, we don't get a notice saying, hey, there's still fines on this, right? Is it possible to test this on the training site before we run it live?
Yeah, we can absolutely. I don't think we would be able to test one of those, the check-in machines, the AMHs, but we can definitely set it up.
Yeah,
on
we check
training
in with our
staff.
hands. We don't have a machine.
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
thank you.
Hey, Mieko. This is Kim again. I know we talked about, you and I did about if it's checked out at another library and they don't have the auto waive and you return it at your library. So I have a Glenview item that was checked out at Glenview. Patron returns it to Wilmette. If Glenview doesn't have that auto waive, the bill stands and a staff member has to play with it on their end, right?
If the item was checked out at a library that does not have the automation and returned to your location, staff would see the that pop up.
Thank you.
Can I ask something? It's Michelle from Displays. I might have missed, I was a couple minutes late, so I might have missed your explanation of why this is beneficial. Because all I keep thinking of is that somebody's going to return something and they're still going to have a bill, and how are we going to, like, we have a sorter, so like I have no idea, like it's just going to get checked in and it's going to show available, and then the patron's still going to look like they owe this money, and I'm not going to see that it should be, that the fine should be deleted.
And that's okay. This is a 100% optional automation. So there's absolutely no obligation to libraries who want to use it if it's not beneficial. If you don't find that it's beneficial.
Am I understanding it right though? Like, is that kind of?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. That's why I wanted to get clarification.
Sure.
I would think it's going to come off just like sorry, this is Lori from ELA. I would think it's going to come off just like you normally would. If someone runs it through your sorter and it goes to your exception bin and you manually waive those fees, it comes out of their bills because it's available now. Unless you manually build it as a bill, not as a lost item, I would think that's, why would it work any different than that?
But like if it goes through the sorter and it's in the exceptions, if I go to check it in, that resolve box is not going to come up necessarily, correct?
That's correct.
So if the resolve box doesn't come up, then
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I believe what Kim is saying, or what she said, was that it will run if it checks it in, if it waives the fees, it checks it in and it won't go to the exception bin.
Sure.
It'll just go, to AV or whatever. So you won't have to worry about it. It's only if you have to process it that it'll go to the exception bin.
Right, but what I'm saying is if it goes to the exceptions bin and I check it in, is that resolve box not going to show up for me
It
to be
will
able to
not
waive
show
it?
up. You'd
Because
have to go in.
My
to each
clerks are not
record.
going to necessarily know that, oh, this is like something that might,
I'm sorry,
This
you're
is-
saying that if it's, I'm trying to follow what you're saying. So you're saying if in Kim's example, if it's a Glenview item or something checked out at Glenview and it goes to the exception bin, when you go to check it in, you're thinking that the resolve box won't come up, it'll just say it's checked in?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. That's what I thought I understood from what Mieko was describing, but maybe I'm wrong.
Can someone who has an AMH,
Yeah, this is Kim, because we've been dealing with this and I know Mieko and I have been discussing it. So we have it, how it is set is after 1 year, the patron is required to pay for it. So after 1 year, the patron finds it, they return it. It's going to check it in because we have yet to delete it, let's say, if you're following me. So it goes through the AMH, it checks it in and puts it into its proper home. The patron remains billed for that item because it's over 1 year. And you can still check on a patron's record if they say they returned it, because it'll show it's available, maybe it's checked out, and you can make that decision if you'd like to waive it. But our system is set up after 1 year, the patron's responsible no matter what. We will sometimes waive it for the patron because they did return it and we had yet to fail to delete it. Does everyone follow that? Michelle?
Yes, I understand that. I guess the
Okay.
difference is that we don't have like, if somebody returns something and it's 2 years old, we're still going to waive it if the
Yeah.
item's in decent condition. So that's, I guess,
So you
where
could
that is
set,
different.
you could set that up. Like it depends upon what your delete process is. Ours is 1 year. But if, let's say it's still, it was checked out at Wilmette, no matter the item, and it goes through the AMH, it was billed lost. The system, if it's a Wilmette item and it's under 1 year, it'll check it in. You'll see an auto waive pop up on the patron's account that said this lost item was auto waived because it was checked in. No pop-up comes up. And then it just goes to get shelved in its normal location. It does not go into your exception bin. It does not go anywhere. The patron doesn't see anything on the account. It just shows it was checked in. Your staff member is good to go. Now, where we're coming up with the thing is a couple of our like neighboring libraries do a little bit different. So our patron checked it out at Glenview or Winnetka. It got billed lost. They may not have that auto waive, but they returned it to us and it stays lost on the account and it goes to our exception bin. And then a staff member has to determine what the process is for our patron. And that's how it would be set up. So you can, if it's another library's item checked out at another library, you have to follow those rules. But for your patrons at your library or someone who checks out at your library, you can give them that cush. Am I saying that right, Mieko?
yes, that sounds right to me. Where if the item was checked out at a different library, that item will follow that library's automation or lack of automation. So your staff may have to go through that manual process with the pop-up. So if you have, if you're, like I said, this automation is absolutely optional. Some libraries have it going on right now. A lot of libraries don't, and that's totally fine. Maybe we'll put together some more solid documentation about this feature and have it available in case anyone wants to explore it a little further.
You know, a thought comes to mind for Michelle is that if you're going to waive it anyway, no matter if it's after a year or not, maybe you just set it, since Mieko said they could set the date of, you know, when you want, maybe you set it for 5 years out. And then what happens is the benefit to you is you never see that resolve screen pop up for that kind of stuff. It's just taken care of. So you don't have to worry about that, but I don't know. Just
That's a good idea. Thanks.
pausing for any other questions before moving on to the next item. So the next thing on the agenda is a quick demo. I received a suggestion for demoing how to print checkout and check-in lists from Leap. So the first thing I wanted to demonstrate, let me just do a click, is how to print a list of checked out items from the patron's record. So I'll email and post the slides, so don't feel like you have to write down the step-by-step right now. First, I'm going to demo how to print a list of checked out items from a patron's record. And then second, I'm going to demo how to print a list of checked in items from the check-in work form. So let me move. I'm just going to exit out of my slides and move to Leap here real quick. I have the training database open and my patron open. So the first part of the demo is how to print a list of checked out items. So in this scenario, a patron is asking for a list of items that they currently have checked out at home. Since these items are already checked out, I am going to open the patron's out overdue tab right away. And next, I need to select the items to print. So you can select individual items if the user only wants information on specific things. Most of the time, they're going to want a complete list. So you can use this little checkbox at the top of the list to select all items at once. And then all you need to do is click this print list button right here. Depending on your screen size, it may be nestled under the more drop-down menu, or you may see it right in front of your face. But once you click that, then you'll just have a complete list of the user's items, complete with the due date, call number, and barcode, all that good information. Let me just cancel out of here. So that's very simple how you print a list of checked out items. So next part of this is just going to show you how to print a list of checked in items. So I'm going to close out of my patron. And in this scenario, a patron comes to the desk and they ask you to check if their items in for them. And they tell you that they want a list confirming that the items have been checked in. So what I'm going to do real quick, I'm just going to open my check-in work form. I have some barcodes, checked out barcodes here that I'm just going to check in real quick from my list. And we'll do one more. How about? Okay. We're in training, so I don't mind saying no to everything. So now that the items are checked in, they want that list confirming that everything has been checked in. Again, you can use the checkboxes. So I do have the option once again of singling out items, or I can use that checkbox at the top of the list to select all. And then what you will do is go to the actions menu and select the print list option. And once you do that, the patron will have a list of items that have been checked in. You'll see here this printout has a heading of check-in receipt. So the patron will know exactly what action was taken with these items as well. So short and sweet little demo. Any questions about those functions?
I do have a quick one, Mieko.
Ah.
Where is this posted somewhere, or will this be just in our minutes? Because I know my staff would love to know how to print the what's been checked in list.
Oh, sure. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. So let me check on
Okay.
that. If not, we'll put it up there.
We do use the other way, so it's the same. I mean, I'll just let them know. It's very beneficial. We use receipt printers, so it comes out perfect on that. If
Yeah.
anyone's tried to print screen, you're like, it doesn't work. But thanks for the demo.
Yay. How far back does that record? Oh, good question, Jen. So when you are doing the check-in, sorry, let me get my boxes. It will it will print out whatever shows on your check-in list. So if you close out of the check-in work form, or you use the clear list option, it's going to clear those items out, and they won't be eligible for that check-in receipt print. Okay. So make sure those that step-by-step is up somewhere very accessible on the website. And then next, I am going to pass this over to Deborah for notice updates. Deborah, did you want me to go through the slides for you, or do you want to take over screen sharing?
Good. I'll just give you a next when I'm ready to go. So you can go ahead and go to the next slide. So I'm here to just give a quick update on some changes that will be coming to your email notices. So last year, CCS began a project to review and update our email notices. And it feels like we've been working on this project a long time. So we're getting really excited that we're finally ready to launch some of the changes we've been working on. So we have heard since going live in Polaris, a lot of feedback from all of you passed on from your patrons that touch on some usability issues with our email notices, such as the font is really small. So we last year began working with both the User Experience Advisory Group and the Circulation Advisory Group to identify changes to email notices that would make them more helpful for our patrons. So we also conducted 2 rounds of feedback gathering from your patrons to make sure that the changes we were thinking of implementing were ones that would actually be useful to them. So again, after a couple of delays to our project schedule, we are finally ready to roll with wrapping up this project. So some changes that we'll be making to our email notices include increasing the font size, using a uniform font. You may be surprised to know that our current email notices have not 1, not 2, but 3 different font faces in them. So we will be also removing some redundant information from the email notices, simplifying our wording, and then adding some helpful links for the patron to your library website and their account in the catalog. Next, may I go? So here is a screenshot of what a current email hold notice looks like. So you can see at the top, we have info like the dates, the library address, the patron's address. So we're going to be pulling some of that information out because most likely the patron knows where they live. This isn't a letter to be mailed. It's an email notice. We're going to pull some of that sort of excess info out so that we can really focus and highlight the information that's important and helpful for the patron. You can see in the bottom half here, we're currently at font size 10, which is very tiny. We have some different font faces in here, which is a little visually confusing for the patron. So next slide, Mako. This next slide shows like a mock-up of what the notice may look like moving forward. We're still, again, we're working on some minor changes. We've got 1 final feedback round with patrons. So this may look slightly different when we finally roll it out. Up at the top, we're going to simplify that library contact info, add in a friendly greeting for the patron instead of starting out with their name and address. We're going to have a uniform font face, increase it up to size 14, take out some of the excess item info that's hanging out in these notices. And then at the bottom, link out to the library's website, ours, and my account in the footer. Okay, next, Mako. So when is all of these changes going to happen? This month, we are gathering our final round of user feedback. So we've had a handful of libraries very kindly agreed to let us embed a survey, I believe in their notice email. So we'll be gathering some user feedback just to make sure that the changes we're making aren't making the notices less helpful to patrons. We feel pretty confident that these changes will be helpful, but we just want to verify again with our users that that's correct. In February, we'll be making any final changes to the email notices based on that final round of user feedback, and then we'll communicate all of these changes with all of you via CCS News, so you're ready and prepared for those changes to go live. And then we're planning right now in March to actually implement those changes. I don't have an exact date of when that will be, but it should happen sometime around the first half of March. So watch CCS News for like some concrete dates on when those changes will go live. But we're really excited to be making these changes. They may be very simple changes, but we think that in general, they'll like greatly improve the usefulness of our notices. So we are pumped. Does anyone have any questions? I will add just one last comment. We were planning at the time we rolled out these changes to go back to the shared language for hold notices. As many of you know, since COVID started in 2020, we have allowed libraries to customize the wording and the hold notices to reflect your changes in practices with holds pickup due to COVID and that situation. So we were planning in March to go back to our shared hold notice language. However, we are very aware that COVID is still a thing and is currently still impacting your services. So we have an eye on that. And we will communicate with this group directly as well as in CCS News if we will allow you to keep customizing your hold notice language, or if we feel we're in a good place to go back to that shared language for the notice. So stay tuned. If you have any thoughts on that, you can go ahead, email me directly, and we'll communicate that decision as we share more info next month.
Well, I think it looks great, so.
Yes, I am so happy to have like a single font. Why Polaris decided that they'd have 3 different fonts in their default notice configuration, I do not know, but we'll be glad to get it all, an Arial size 14, not size 10. So we're really excited and think your patrons will find it very useful.
Yeah, I think it's worth the effort, so.
All right, again, if you have any feedback or questions, feel free to reach out to me directly or open a ticket, and then watch your Friday newsletter to see when we'll be rolling out all of these changes. All right, and then I'll turn it back to you, Meiko.
Cool. So one more thing on the agenda for our section, just a brief update on claimed items. So if you were at the October Circulation Technical Group meeting, the group approved a motion that claimed items should be removed from the database if the claimed item is still unresolved after 1 full year in claimed status. After that, CCS did receive approval from Executive Committee to regularly delete items that have been in a claimed status for over 1 year on behalf of libraries. And one thing to note with that, libraries can absolutely continue to manage and resolve claims as per your current practice. So this update to workflow only impacts claimed items that have not been resolved within 1 year. So starting at the end of this month, CCS will be deleting unresolved claimed items aged 1 year or older monthly. Our first deletion will take place on January 28th. Last month, we sent a list of eligible items belonging to your library to the circulation contacts. So you either received a list of items or you received a confirmation that there were no eligible items for this first deletion. I'm a little behind on my slideshow. The record maintenance will take place during the last week of each month. And moving forward, you can use the web report items with a status of claims to identify unresolved claim items eligible for deletion. And you can identify them using the column headed date claimed. This list is sorted by date claimed, and it has the most recent claimed items listed first. So you'll look at the bottom of the list to see those older ones, and you can use that date to see if there's anything that's nearing its its year. So the documentation on the website has been updated to reflect this regular maintenance, as well as the circulation manual has also been updated. So hopefully this will save staff some time managing these items. And pause for questions, or if you think of
I
anything
just want to
later
say
on.
thank you. That is so helpful.
Good.
I can't even begin to tell you how helpful it's been. So thank you very much for automating that and making it so much easier.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. Pause for a chat. Thanks, Dana. If any questions do come up, do not hesitate to reach out to me directly or to the help desk. We will get any questions answered. So with that is the end of the CCS section. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and turn it back over to Karen.
All righty. Okay, so the next thing on the agenda is old business, but we don't have any. So we'll move to the next thing, which is new business. And to start us off would be Paula, if you want to talk about unclaimed holds.
Okay, so the issue that came up for us was an item was checked out at, I don't know, maybe it was Indian Trails, probably doesn't matter, but we'll use that. And the patron returned the item to like Prospect Heights, and we never got it back. It turns out that the patron was a Vernon area. And so if we dealt with that patron, we would have used OCLC. But they're an RBP patron at whichever branch it was that our hold went to. It got lost. And so, you know, the point of responsibility would have been the library that they went to check it out at, but we didn't have any connection to any of it. What do we do with when it's a patron? I guess an RBP patron is what they would be. When they lose items, how do we handle it the same way, or do we just have no recourse? Because I'm not sure I understand. Also, in the instance that something comes missing off of your hold shelf, and it's for, you know, a patron that's not from your home library but a different area, and they claim they never got it. And so that's another issue. Do we have any recourse, or do we just do we do nothing about it? Because I don't see a resolution except for that we end up writing it off.
Okay, so let's talk. On the agenda, we had the missing on hold shelf. So let's talk about that first, since we've I'm just going to I did copy the procedures from the website. Let me share my screen. We can take a look at those. So if the item was on hold for someone and it's missing on the hold shelf, and this is an intra-CCS item. So for that process, the library will contact the patron, just double check if they have the item, and then check your own stacks for the item in case something got misshelved. Since this is an intra-CCS item, you should also contact the owning library within 14 days to see if it's there, and the owning library can check their stacks. So in this scenario, and when it's a missing on hold shelf item, the patron's home library doesn't really come into play. It's really going to be between the pickup location and the owning library. And then if the item can't be located, the owning library will check that item in. So once both libraries have kind of finished their checks and determined that this item cannot be found, the owning library will check the item in to clear the unclaimed status and change the circulation status to missing. So does that clear up those questions about when an item goes missing on the hold shelf?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And let me back up
I guess the reason I have confusion is probably, well, because I'm thinking about things that happened in the past. When we started circulating video games, we had something from Round Lake that got stolen off of our health shelf. And because that happened, I know that our library paid Round Lake for that item. But like I said, it was years ago, and I guess that things changed. And so I think that's where my confusion mainly came from.
Sure. So at this time, and this is policy approved by governing board, libraries are not to send money back and forth for items. So if something ends up stolen from your hold shelf and cannot be recovered, you're not responsible for reimbursing the owning library.
Can I just say that I was listening to you, Paul, and you're talking about RBP patrons, for example, like Vernon Hills or Cook Memorial. What happens on our end? So let's say, and I'm just going to go this way because I have the letter there from Cook Memorial. Okay, so one of our patrons went to Cook Memorial, registered their library over there, checked out materials, never returned them. Cook Memorial then sent us a letter saying, hey, block that patron because they owe us money. And if I had the time to do it, I would probably do it too. If like Fox Lake, who is near us, that patron is an RBP. They come to our library, they check out material, they never returned it. It gets billed or it gets returned, someone gets lost, you know, whatever the case is. That patron is still responsible. We bill it through her on our end. And then, like I said, if I had time, but I don't, then I would probably send Fox Lake a letter saying, hey, your patron owes us money. Please, you know, block them and don't allow them to be checking out there. That kind of thing. Is that what you're talking about, Paula, and RBPs?
I just
I bill them left and right.
Do you? All right.
I bill RBPs left and right if it's our material, my material, because they belong to none of your libraries that are consortium libraries. I wouldn't bill any of your consortium libraries, but an RBP, they should be more, you know, and we do RBP OCLC as well. We do that. So believe me, OCLC items can get quite pricey. So I even call people and say, hey, could you please return that item so we don't get stuck paying $100 plus $50 of a, you know, processing fee. But yes, that's why I bill RBPs. And again, if I had the time, I'd even go after the home library. And I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I bill them.
Well, see, I guess that I am not clear on if we need to contact their home library when they're an RBP patron, or we just bill them.
I think that it is located somewhere in the ILL, whatever jargon that we have there from the Secretary of State, that you can contact their home library. I believe so. But like I said, I've been contacted by Cook Memorial. I've been contacted by Waukegan. I have been contacted by all the surrounding libraries here that are not in our consortium to block my patrons.
That is the standard rule. You are correct, Maggie.
Yeah.
Yes, and so we bill RBP patrons as well.
Yeah.
Anybody outside the consortium is billed for the material.
So then if would that missing hold be billable in the even
not in the consortium?
If it's not in the consortium.
No,
you can bill it, but they're not gonna maybe pay you. They can
But
pay.
the
No,
missing in
because-
transit is different. Now you see, there's where you go. Did it get checked in and then it got lost missing in transit? That's a whole nother thing.
You're never getting it then.
And when it's missing in transit, doesn't matter who it is. I just call it, it's out there in cyberspace
Yeah,
for missing in transit.
So the question then, Paula, that you have, it sounds like it's not related to intra CCS borrowing or loaning or anything like that. This is outside of the system reciprocal borrowing. Is that correct?
I think that's what we would call it, yes.
Okay.
These are patrons that if the library, their home library handled it, it would be an OCLC request. But because they went to a CCS library and requested it as an RBP patron, it feels like it's different because we didn't go through that request form and send it ourselves. But they received the item. I'm not sure if I'm making sense. It's the same outcome when they receive the item, they just don't have that paperwork and we don't have that trail to follow them as an RBP patron as we do when we dealt with like their home library directly.
So I know I'm not knowledgeable enough about like Illinois reciprocal agreements to where I can give answers off the top of my head. Deborah, like if you have anything that you can pull in, like please interrupt me. But this is an area where I can gather information and share it with the group.
I can speak to it because I come from a system where we did, even within we weren't in a consortium, the library came from, so we did have, everybody was an RBP if they weren't from your library. So the person who's not in our consortium, if they come in and they say, I'd like to check out here, we have to call their home library, clear them, put them in our system, get permission they're in good standing, and then we can check out to them. If they don't return something that they checked out from us, and therefore I will bill their home library. I send them a bill, I put it on I block the patron's account, and that's usually how that goes. And I usually get payment. We would always get payment. But within our consortium, we decided not to do that. I mean, we still can bill them, but you never see the money half the time. And so there's a lot of waiving going on because there's just the way it's set up. But outside of our consortium, it's still the same guideline. So you still bill the RBP library where they came from for the item. I mean, we get paid, people pay it. So that's the agreement in the state. It works really well. So I don't know. Is that what it fits for you, Paula? Does that sound like what you're talking about though?
Yes.
Because it's your item, right? That, yeah.
Yes, it's our item. And you know, it went to, you know, a CCS library, but a CCS patron didn't.
I think that's the problem. That shouldn't be happening. We should not be requesting another library in the consortium's item to give to an RBP patron. I think that is where the problem comes. If an RBP comes in, they're only checking out our stuff. I've approved. I don't call on things from other libraries in the consortium to provide an RBP patron that item. But maybe we can. I just don't do it.
So your holds then are not available
Right.
to RBP patrons.
Right,
Is
and
that like a
that's-
hold status?
That's my question too. If you're putting the RBP person into the database, like we do, like we in Crystal Lake, we do that for Marengo, Woodstock, Barrington, and then they can place holds themselves.
Well, RBP patrons cannot place holds in the regular setup. They're not your patron. They don't have that privilege to place holds. That's not something available to them.
I'm going to jump in here just to clarify CCS practices. So Chicago Public and reciprocal patrons can place holds within our system. Each CCS library can decide whether you want those patrons to pick up holds at your location. So right now, almost all CCS libraries do allow Reciprocal and Chicago public patrons to place holds for pickup at their library. We do have a few exceptions, particularly with some libraries that border Chicago public, where they've decided not to allow Chicago public patrons to pick up holds. At the libraries who do allow non-CCS patrons to place and pick up holds, any library's items can fill their hold, provided that item is holdable to any patron. So CCS doesn't have any way to say, oh, this Reciprocal patron placed a hold for pickup at Displays, but don't send Northbrook items to fill that hold. So once the hold is placed, any member's item can fill the hold, provided that item is eligible to fill holds. And that's a function of Polaris, in which we can't limit holds and which items fill holds in that way. If an item is holdable to anyone, it will be holdable to both CCS patrons and Reciprocal patrons. So hopefully that clarifies a little bit.
Yeah, I was just speaking to my system in the past, and that's how we ran that, though. They weren't allowed to place holds if it was just a standalone library, not in a consortium, so.
And the one thing too, if I do a OCLC hold for, say, a Waukegan patron, then I'm responsible for it. They never return it, or if they return it to Zion or wherever they want, it doesn't matter. I still have to pay for it. So once they let it go to me, or to Round Lake, not me personally, but to Round Lake, I have to pay for it, no matter where it ended up, no matter how it ended up, no matter whatever. You're responsible for any OCLC request you place to get sent to your library. So, it doesn't matter.
You mean outside of the consortium, then, is what you're talking about?
Yeah, we do OCLC for anybody. Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yes, RBPs, anybody we can do.
Well, that's the Illinois, the interlibrary loan guidelines. That you need to check that then, because I don't think that's accurate. When you use OCLC, I don't know.
OCLC is open to, according to what, our things are open to any patron that comes into our library to request an OCLC item.
Well, and I think your question, Paula, is, since it was one of your items that went to a different library that was for an RBP patron, but it was, it showed up on the unclaimed. I think we just need to handle it like we handle all unclaimed things, and just like Mieko showed us, change it to check it in and change it to a missing status. I mean, that's what I would think, how that would happen, what you should do with that kind of thing.
Was it truly unclaimed though? Because I thought Paula said that the RBP patron had checked it out.
I may be confusing two different things. It's very possible.
Well, yeah, if the RBP patron checked it out and never returned it, wouldn't it be handled the same way?
Right.
Like anything is handled at 45 days, it would be billed as a lost item on that
Yes.
RBP patron's card.
Yes, that, yeah.
Deborah did copy and paste a section from Rails resource sharing policy, and also provided a link too. So do feel free to refer to that for outside of CCS reciprocal borrower billing.
Yeah, and just a quick overview, because it's kind of a lengthy paragraph there. It touches a bit on Maggie's your comment. So per the Rails resource sharing guide, and I believe there's also a similar section in Illinet, which is like sort of the state guidelines. It does allow you to contact the patron's home library if they're from outside of the system and request that their home library block the patron's account until the bills are resolved. So that is still an option that's available to you if you have a non-CCS patron that's kind of racked up some fees. You can call their home library and request that they block the patron there to encourage them to come back to you to resolve any outstanding bills. But as was noted here, you wouldn't, for example, if the patron checked out, the reciprocal patron checked out an item at Zion Benton, but but it was a Carrie item. Carrie wouldn't bill Zion for that item because our CCS billing policy says we don't bill each other for bills. However, again, if it's a non-CCS patron, you could call the patron's home library to request that the block be applied there as well. Of course, if they have an outstanding fee, they'd likely be blocked in this system as well.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. I think I just needed some clarification because I don't know, the situation wasn't like standard, and so it just seemed a little weird. So thank you all for your explanations. I do appreciate it.
That's the fun part about circulation. There's so many missing pieces. No matter how long you're going to be there, there's all the outlier situations that'll get thrown at you.
It seems to be the ILL that goes crazy every now and then. But it keeps it interesting.
There you go.
Mieko, this is Kim. Can I ask a question about your slide that you showed?
Sure.
You, in the slide, I think it says that the unclaimed item, that library where it's sitting on the hold shelf, would contact the patron. So, or is it the owning library? Like, I just want to get clarification because I don't call, like, let's say it's a Huntley patron. I'm not going to call a Huntley patron for my item on the on their shelf.
Sure.
I thought it was, yeah, go ahead.
Let me share my screen again. So these are when an item goes missing on your hold shelf. So in this situation, you are the pickup library. So the patron has their hold for pickup at your location. And if you aren't able to find that item on the shelf, so let's say that, and with these instructions, it's approaching it as if you're working through the unclaimed list. So if you're pulling your unclaimed holds, you see there's something missing, contact the patron.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it was the library where the item is on, not, I don't want to call a random patron because I don't have that relationship. Okay, thank you. Perfect.
Okay, any more comments or thoughts about that? No. All right, so we'll move to the next thing on the new business, which is the Cards for Kids Act procedure. And that is me, I put that on there. I'm just wondering, I mean, we have the procedure in place and we've opened cards, but I remember hearing that somebody was saying, oh, you need to have a form of some kind under certain conditions in order to open the card. But does anybody use a form of any kind when it comes to this type of card that you're issuing? Does anybody issue these cards? No.
I remember I called Rails when this first came up, and I think they said some libraries are using like the mail programs from school forms, maybe.
I know they have to bring documents, you know, stating that they receive, you know, the free lunch. And that's the qualifier. And then we open the card. But I don't know, I had heard that, so I was nervous that I was like, oh gosh, I'm probably supposed to do a form of some kind. So I just wanted to put it out and see if you all were, but if you're not, then I feel fine. We're probably all on the same track. So that was it for that. It's not really more than that. So any other comments about that before we move on? No.
Are there any special things that separate these Cards for Kids cards from like regular patrons? We have student cards and things like that. Is there like for tracking or anything? Do you track separately?
Yes, in Polaris, you choose the non-resident Cards for Kids code, you know, when you open a card under that.
Yeah, there's a specific statistical class code For cards for kids. So if you do open a card on behalf of someone who's part of that, who is eligible for that program, then you would choose that statistical class.
And according to the law, the cards are only good for 1 year. They have to expire in a
Right.
year.
And then they come back and just renew them with the information all over again.
There we go. I'm going to post a direct link to the Rails page. They have some information about Cards for Kids bundled in there. And if it's been a while since I've looked at like the FAQ page, but I remember it put together.
Okay, so that's the link posted. Thank you. All right, so then that was that point. So we did have next new managers and maybe just kind of introducing yourself to the group if you want to. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but it'd be nice to know people that have joined, come on board in the consortium. So does anybody new want to? I could call somebody out, but I'm not.
I'd like to introduce our new assistant manager at Lake Villa, Rachel Kwan. Has been in the position, this is her first week full time. So we're very excited, and Rachel has worked at our library for about 7 years. We're happy to have her. We haven't had an assistant position for quite some time, so we're very excited.
Oh, well, welcome, Rachel.
Hi, my name is Shannon Shiblo. I work at the Grays Lake Area Public Library, and I am one of the public services supervisors. So I've been in this position since July, but this is only my second meeting in this group. So thank you. It's been very educational.
Yeah, welcome.
Thanks.
I could go next. Hi, everybody. My name is Jenn Hovanik. I am the new circulation manager for the Northbrook Public Library. I am super excited to be back in CCS. I was over in Swan for a year, but we're not doing that anymore. We're here. I am very excited to see familiar faces. And hi, Rosa. Still love you. Talk to you soon.
Well, welcome, Jen. Is there anyone else? Okay, so I think we'll move back to the new thing we added, which was the rail slips. We can chat about that now.
Yeah, Anastasia shared an image early on, and I just want to see if I can download it. Maybe not. I'm having a little trouble.
I had to do two. The first one wouldn't load.
Oh, maybe let me try the second one.
Yeah, that one should work.
I'm mostly struggling with this because I know I've got a room of people waiting.
Or if you want, I could share my screen. I have it on my screen.
Oh, yeah. Let me. Oh, wait. I've got it now.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so I see you've got the circle one option. Hold and return. I know. Was it Donna? Did we have a brief conversation about this? And I was like, I've got no clue what's going on.
Yeah, Miko, we did.
Yeah. Let me, I never got around to reaching out to Rails about this. So let me shoot the delivery an email and just see if they can give us some information about what this is meant to do.
Right, is it really going to help anything, whether it's for a hold or a return? I mean, we kind of know that, don't we, when it comes back?
Yeah, I think that'll cause a lot of extra work for staff.
think
I
they
can't
were-
see the logic in it at all. I mean, it could, and its status could change while it's in the blue bin, you know, so it doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not having my staff do anything unless I'm forced to.
I think the reason they might be doing it is because they are really honing in lately. You've all maybe seen the emails where they're very concerned about errors that are being made from the center, and they're wanting us to call and notify and take a picture if we can of the slip and then send that to them because they're trying to correct that. I guess there's been things going to the wrong places. So maybe if they knew it was a hold or just a return, the impact, you know, because if it's a hold, somebody's really waiting for it and it was delayed. If it's a return, well, maybe it's just going back on your shelf for browsing. So that's just my speculation, but I don't know.
We send a lot of those help things into Rails because, but it's not with these slips, it's with the ILDS ones, if I got the right. And it's usually Rolling Meadows. Rolling Meadows is always coming to Round Lake. I don't know why. So, but we don't have any, I rarely have any issues with those little rail slips. It's those other slips where we're getting material in here that shouldn't have been routed to us. It should have been routed to another library. So I don't think I'm going to have them putting hold return either.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll see if I can, what information I can get about the purpose of the hold and return and the expectations for staff usage. I'll share that out with both the CERC listserv and the ILL listserv.
And I did see a communication from Rails to directors that just noted that Rails has seen since the fall a rise in delivery. So their volume is increasing of materials that are passing through the sorting centers. And I know that they, like most industries, are also seeing some issues with staffing due to COVID and other factors. So I wonder if this is an attempt to help maybe streamline and help some of the staff get through a bit of a difficult situation that we're all in right now. So maybe we'll do some more digging and share that out.
Okay. Any other comments about the rail slip?
Hey Karen, this is Kim. We also will have a count coming up in February. I'm wondering if that's gonna do anything with those slips too. If they're gonna want to
good point.
share.
We're gonna find out soon enough after Mieko gets done talking to them. So she's gonna be taking care of business. So. Love it.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on it that, you know, I get it, but I mean, all the libraries are probably short-staffed too, and I feel like this is going to create a lot of extra work for our team members. So just keep that in, you know, I'm sure you'll keep it in mind. I just wanted to make a comment, you know, if they're making mistakes, you know, I think it's fair for our team to have to, you know, do extra work to help them figure that out. If that's the reason. I know we don't know yet, but.
All right, is there anything else anybody wanted to bring up before we close the meeting? Going once, twice.
Oh, Michelle's got her hand up, I think.
All right.
Yes.
I had this question from a few weeks ago and I thought I would just bring it up here. It's not, I don't think, a very long problem. So hopefully I'm not making the meeting go long. We were having some like things that got returned that had like different problems with them. And I'm not really clear on which statuses I can change items that are from another library. So for instance, if I have a Glenview item in front of me and somebody dropped it in a puddle, can I mark it damaged? If somebody is totally destroyed, can I mark it withdrawn? I mean, what are the things that I'm allowed to do with another library's item? Does that make sense?
It does make sense. I like to refer to the documentation instead of speaking off the top of my head with something like this. So if I can kind of gather up what we have on that and share it out, would that be okay?
Of course. I kind of looked through some stuff, but honestly, I didn't spend a ton of time. So this answer might be really obvious in a chart somewhere that I failed to see. But I just wanted to make sure I wasn't messing with anybody's record, because I know there's certain things you can't do, but then occasionally it would be helpful if there was that I could mark something a certain way. Okay, thank you, Miko.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, any other thoughts that you want to share? Comments?
Hi, this is Stephanie from the Lincolnwood Library.
Mhm.
After we talked about holds today, it kind of brought up a reminder that some patrons have said that the automated phone messages are really confusing. The caller ID changed, so it doesn't say library or something anymore. And I want to know if anybody else had the same type of feedback.
I did. I actually opened a ticket yesterday and had the exact same thing. For our instance, it used to say public library, and now it says cooperative computer. So now she knows to look out for that, but that's funny to me that multiple people have noticed that. Yeah.
Yes, and I can touch on this because I think, Kara, it was you that opened that ticket. So our IT staff is on it. CCS recently at our office changed our AT&T plan, which apparently led to a switch in the name that's associated with our caller ID. So Marcin, our IT manager, has contacted AT&T to see if we can change our caller ID name back to the public library from Cooperative Computer Services. We're hoping that this change can be reverted back. But we are sorry, we consolidated some of our AT&T plans and it had this unexpected issue. So we were planning to put that in the newsletter today. And I should have noted to add this to this agenda too. So yes, your patrons for phone notices will see Cooperative Computer Services, but we have our fingers crossed that we can switch it back to public library. We apologize for that confusion.
Okay, anything else anybody wants to bring up? I'll just say we're going RFID. It was approved, but.
Congratulations.
Yes, I do like the applause. Thank you. Thank you. Get to join the rest of you that are there too. But anything else? No? It was a good meeting. All right, well then I'll call for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Somebody?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
So Maggie Round Lake is first and Paula, you're second?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was someone else, but
I apologize then. Who else was it?
It was me, I think. That's okay.
It was me.
Anastasia.
So Anastasia seconded it then.
I'll third.
Let's go down the row, everybody, right? Fourth, fifth, sixth.
Bye, everybody.
All right, good. Have a good day, everybody. Nice weekend
Wonderful
too.
new year. Okay, all of you have a great year this year. Okay.
All right, bye.
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 Bye. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Ta-da! Oh.